In this Play Pause It video, I'm going to show you how to convert a temperature in Fahrenheit into degrees Celsius and vice versa. So by now you probably know that there are different ways of describing temperature. One way is describing temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, which because we are Americans here, we probably all are very familiar with degrees Fahrenheit. But a scale that we're probably less familiar with is degrees Celsius, which is the most common temperature used in science. So we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to use the equation above. So the equation that I have boxed at the top of the page, how to use this equation to convert a temperature in Fahrenheit into degrees Celsius. So let's just start by defining a few things. So in the equation where it says degrees C, that's what we're going to be solving for. So if we want to convert from degrees Fahrenheit into Celsius, when we solve, we're going to be solving for degrees C, which will be our final answer. There's a fraction 5 over 9 at the beginning of this equation, but notice that it's 5 over 9 times degrees Fahrenheit minus 32. Okay, so it's not 5 over 9 times just degrees Fahrenheit, it's 5 over 9 times that entire quantity. Okay, so whenever we plug this in, I'm just going to start by rewriting the equation. So degrees Celsius is equal to the fraction 5 over 9 times, okay, now I have a temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm going to plug that temperature in for degrees Fahrenheit in the equation. So where it says degrees F, I'm going to plug in negative 11. So we get negative 11, and don't forget your negative 11, or else your answer will not be correct. And I'm just going to write degrees. I'm going to leave off the F just to make it a little easier to look at. Minus 32 degrees, and that's it. Now you just start plugging stuff into your calculator or solving by hand. So I'll just start by doing negative 11 minus 32. That's going to give you equals 5 over 9 times negative 43 degrees, and then equals, now all you have to do is just do negative 43 times the fraction 5 over 9, and you get the answer negative 23.88 repeating, and that's degrees Celsius now. Okay, so don't make life difficult on yourself. Just type this into your calculator, 5 over 9 times negative 43 degrees, if you're not sure how to multiply these two. But it's not too bad, so I also want to show you how to do that part by hand. So I'll just make a side note here that says equals 5 over 9, and you guys know that I can put this number over 1, and it doesn't change a single thing. So times negative 43 over 1. Okay, now that makes it a little easier to look at. Now I have two fractions that I'm multiplying together, so I can do 5 times negative 43 degrees, and that gives me 5 times negative 43. That gives me negative 215, negative 215 degrees divided by, 9 times 1, which is 9. Okay? And when you do negative 215 degrees divided by 9, you should get the same answer as down here. Okay, but feel free to type this into your calculator. On the end of course test, you will have a calculator available, so don't make your life harder than it has to be. Just use your calculator as much as you can to help you get the correct answer. Now, there is one thing that I want to do because of the temperatures that I'm given up here. I need to round this number, which is not something that we've talked about yet, but it's something that we'll cover in the coming weeks. But I need to round this final answer to be just negative 24 degrees Celsius. And that is your final answer in degrees Celsius. Okay, so what that means is negative 11 degrees Fahrenheit is the same as negative 24 degrees Celsius, approximately. Now, let's look at an example where we go the other direction, where we go from a temperature in degrees Celsius into Fahrenheit. It's the same procedure, except this time you need to take your temperature in degrees Celsius and plug it in for degrees C. So let's see what that looks like. So I have degrees Fahrenheit is equal to the fraction 9 over 5 this time, 9 over 5. Now, pay attention, okay? This fraction is only being multiplied by your temperature in Celsius. This 9 over 5 is not being multiplied by the 32, okay? So this is only being multiplied by your temperature in Celsius. That's different than the last one, where you had your fraction 5 over 9 being multiplied by that entire quantity. Okay, so let's go to this slide. Now I have my temperature in degrees Celsius, so I just take that in and I plug it in where the degree C is. So 9 over 5 times 21 degrees, and I'm going to leave off the C just to make it a little easier to look at, times 21 plus 32.0 degrees. Okay, so now we have 9 over 5 times 21, and then after I evaluate that, I can do plus 32. And in this case, again, I want to encourage you to work smart, not hard. You will have a calculator on your end of course exam, so just type this into your calculator. 9 divided by 5 times 21, that gives you 37.8 degrees plus your 32 degrees, and we say that's equal to, we just add these two terms together and you get 69.8 degrees, which I should round in this case to just 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. So feel free to stop the video there if you don't care about how to solve this problem by hand. But for those of you that want a review on the mathematics, just continue the video. So I'll go over to the next slide, and I've copied my original equation down. So after I've plugged in the 20 degrees Celsius into this equation. Now, if I want to solve this by hand, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. So I'll get, I'm going to write this off to the left just to make it a little bit, give me a little bit more real estate to work with here. So 9 over 5 times 21 degrees over 1. Okay, so putting that 21 over 1 doesn't change anything. So this is perfectly okay to write in this form, plus 32 degrees over 1. Okay, so putting the 32 over 1 does not change anything, so that's perfectly fine. Now what I do is I have two fractions and I'm multiplying here. So anytime that I'm multiplying fractions, it's just straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So we start with the top. 9 times 21 is equal to 189, I think, is equal to 189. Keep our degrees. And then straight across the bottom, 5 times 1, that just gives me 5. So 189 divided by 5 plus 32 degrees divided by 1. Now, to add these two fractions, I need to find a common denominator. The easiest way to do this is to make sure that both of the denominators are 5. And the way that I do that is by multiplying my second term by I'll multiply that by 5 over 5. Now, you guys know that 5 divided by 5 is just 1, so multiplying 32.0 divided by 1 times 1 doesn't change anything. So, I get is equal to 189 degrees divided by 5 plus, 32 times 5, which is equal to 160, so 160 degrees, and then 1 times 5, that's going to give me just 5 on the bottom. Now that I have a common denominator on the bottom, all I have to do is just add the tops. Now be careful here. The biggest mistake that I see whenever people add two fractions that have a common denominator is that they add the denominators too. But you do not add the denominators here. You keep it the same and you add the top. So you end up getting 189 plus 160, which is equal to 349 degrees divided by 5. Okay, so you could leave your answer in this form if you wanted to, or you could put it in decimal form, which would be, so I'll say is equal to 349 divided by 5 degrees Fahrenheit, or you can put it in decimal form by just doing 349 divided by 5 to get the same answer that we had on the previous page. So 69.8 degrees Fahrenheit, which we'll just round to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So both of these answers are acceptable. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this Play Pause It video. Please continue forward with the rest of the worksheet, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.